All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. Today, I've got three topics that I just want to get off my chest, kind of rant about a little bit, and it's three comments that I often see in my YouTube and the Discord right now, and I just want to get out in front of them, kind of give you guys my thoughts. So like, subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and of course, we've got to give our shout out to my patrons right now. Thank you guys so much for all of your continued support. Without people like you, this channel would not be possible. So to those on the council, even if you're not yet granted the rank of master, thank you. And to my Jedi Master and Wampa tier members, thank you guys so much. Again, I really appreciate every single one of you, regardless of your tier. Let's get in. Let's talk about these three questions I get asked all the time. We're going to start ranting. Number one is the Ewok God here. Everybody always asks, can you do this without Wicket? Like, do I need Wicket for this event? Like, yes, you need Wicket for this event. Or, no. You know what? No, you don't. But that's like asking if you need anesthesia before getting surgery. Like, no, you don't really need anesthesia, but why the hell would you put yourself through that? Just farm him. Like, just bloody farm him, guys. I am sorry that that's not what you want to hear, but it's the smartest thing to do. In fact, I'm going to tell you that there are three Ewoks that you should farm for C-3PO now. Chirpa, Nisa, and Wicket. Because those are the three Ewoks that you need to unlock Leia. That is the way to be efficient in this game. I think so often we get efficiency mixed up with speed. Let me show you what I mean by this, right? Let me explain it in this regard. So, with Ewoks, it's going to take you longer to farm Wicket and Nisa. Absolutely will. Than it will to farm any of the rest of these characters. It's going to take you longer to farm those two. But here's the thing. Just keep this in mind. Think of gas mileage when you hear fuel efficiency. Going 25 miles an hour, your engine is working like it's not putting your engine under any kind of stress, right? It's very easy, but it's going to take you super long to get there. Then you think of traveling at 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you're getting there faster, but you're burning up all this fuel. You're not being efficient. But traveling at 50 miles an hour is kind of that sweet spot. You know, that's the Goldilocks spot where it's just perfect, where your engine is working at a rate that it can sustain for the longest period of time and, on the, amount of gas that you have. Well, that's exactly like these Ewoks here, where, you know what? Yeah, it'd be faster if you skipped these two characters, but you're going to put more work in. You're going to put more gear because these two characters are vastly more important than everybody else. So, in my opinion, these are the three Ewoks you need to farm regardless of where they are, because at the end of the day, you're paying it forward. You need them for this game. Remember, efficiency is about doing the least amount of work possible in all aspects of this game, not just one specific thing. You can't look at it and say, I need to be efficient in the 3PO event. You need to look at it as, I need to be efficient with my total roster. So these three Ewoks, just farm them. I am sorry that that's not the answer that you want to hear, but it's the truth, right? In fact, if you want to be super efficient, you could just use these two characters with these Ewoks. If you don't believe me, right, you could have, like, as long as you have those two at relic levels. Now, I know this is kind of a bit extreme, but I just think it's a super funny point to prove out here to you guys. Just, you want to know why I say, efficiency is important? Just watch what we're going to do here. Let's take you and you. All right, we're going to go ahead in here, and we're going to complete the C-3PO event with these 5 characters, 2 of them being, like, abysmal leveled, right? Going to get in here. Come on now. There we go. All right. Let's go here. Dispel. Okay. All right. Critical hits. Look at that damage from Nisa, guys. Isn't this awesome? Look at that. I mean, she's just critting that dude to pieces. Look, already 1 down. All right, let's target Chewbacca. Chewie. Look at this. Nisa just carrying this event, right? Now we're going to go all in on R2-D2 here. Puts everyone under stealth except himself. Ooh, Chirpa getting down, but that's okay. There we go. Now we're healed back up. Keep going. Let's keep Nisa out, because Nisa's got a lot more survivability than Chief Chirpa does. All right, give me some critical hits. Keep going, and he's down. Let's go after our boy Han here. Look at that, guys. Nisa, 75k damage right there. Just absolutely absurd. All right, now let's go here, and we can auto it at this point. So, obviously, this is an extreme example, but I hope you guys get the point here that being efficient in this game isn't always about doing the easiest thing possible, but it's about doing the least amount of total work. So there, you only need 3 Ewoks to beat the C-3PO event now. You just need to have them at your required levels for GL Leia. So, obviously a very extreme example, but it works. And so, again, obviously I would, gear up 2 other Ewoks. And the 2 I would gear up are Legray and Elder, only because they're all, the other 3 Ewoks I would use, Paplu, Elder, and Legray, they're all available via Guild Store. And the other way you can get Paplu is in the Cantina, so I would avoid that. But anyway, I just wanted to show that. I thought that was pretty funny. But yes, you want those 3 Ewoks. At the end of the day, that's the takeaway. You want those 3 Ewoks. The other 2 in there, not quite as important. I personally would go with Elder and Legray just because I think their kits are a little bit better than Paplu's. All right, next has to do with Galactic Legend tickets. Particularly, I know the Rey event, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm failing, or the Kylo event, I'm failing. But like, if you have to look up what FFS means, go on Urban Dictionary. But just remod. I don't understand why this is such a tough concept when you're doing these Galactic Legend events. Just remod. I get that remodding isn't the most fun, but I'm telling you right now, it's not worth dropping tickets. Dropping tickets is the biggest waste of resources in this game, because you get nothing for it. You throw a Zeta or an Omicron on a character like Rose Tico, you're still going to get benefit out of that. You throw a Omicron on Admiral Akbar, there's still uses for it. It still can help you in some way, shape, or form. Dropping tickets literally has no value. There's no rate of return. There's nothing you get out of it. It's just nothing. So you cannot afford to drop tickets. It's not worth it. Just remod. If you don't believe me that you're like, oh, Phil, you don't remod, look at this. Just to show you guys, look at the loadouts here. I have my loadouts from Tier 2 of Leia still saved. And when I did Tier 3, I completely remodded all of those characters because I'm not willing to drop any tickets. At any point in time, I'm never willing to drop tickets. And that's one of the reasons why I got through Leia as quickly as I did. One of the reasons I got through Leia and Rey as quickly as I did. I'm not dropping tickets. Just remod them. And if you're like, oh, Phil, but that's not realistic. Like, I don't want to have to remod every single day. You don't need to remod every single day. You know what you do? You can hoard, 140 tickets? So hoard as many tickets as you can and then do Tier 1 with, your mods on as many times as you want, right? Do it like 8 times in a row. Then you go to, Tier 2. Hoard as many tickets as it needs to get through this as many times as possible with your mods. And then you only have to remod maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe 3 times. But during those times, right, that you've remodded and all that stuff, you do all of your attempts. That's the way I would do it. I would just remod that way, right? Do all of your attempts all at once for the tiers that you need to remod for, and you're going to be so much better off. You'll have way more success and enjoyment out of this game. But please stop asking me like, oh, I dropped tickets and then I look and you didn't remod. Just remod. It's not, if you're in doubt, just overmod. Just throw like stupid sets on these characters, right? Throw your Echo sets on BB-8. Throw your, throw your Star Killer mods on Resistance Hero Poe. Throw your, Mara Jade mods on Finn. Like, do whatever you need to do to make these characters as most ridiculously overpowered as you possibly can, and you'll be so much better off. You'll thank me for it in the long run. Same thing with your Galactic Legend Rey. If you're doing the ultimate tiers, put mods on her. Even if they're not going to be her final mods, put the most ridiculous mod set that you can on her, and then worry about it later. So just please remod, guys. It's not that difficult, okay? You can do it all at once. All right. Finally, this is a hot take, but it's, with the college football playoff for my American friends and for my Europeans, think of the Champions League, that, the GAC is basically the equivalent of the college football playoff for the Champions League. And if you don't believe me, just hear me out here. So much of Grand Arena is dependent on your matchups. Depending who you have to face during your Grand Arenas very much can dictate whether or not you're going to win or lose. Think of it like this. In the college football playoff this year, you have that team up north, or those cheaters up north. You have Washington, Texas, and Alabama. I do not think that all of those teams are the best 4 teams in the country. I would argue the best 4 teams in the country are those cheaters up north, Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. I don't think Washington's better than Georgia or Ohio State. I don't think Texas is better than Georgia or Ohio State. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but it's the truth. And like Florida State, who would you got? Like, if you are any team in the country right now, who would you rather play? Ohio State, Georgia, or Alabama? Or would you rather play Florida State? I think everybody in the country would rather play Florida State. Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. So, again, the reason that Ohio State and Georgia didn't make it is because they lost 2 teams who, unfortunately, this year on that day were better than them in those cheaters up north and Alabama. So, they lost to the better team, so they don't get the chance to play in that quote-unquote championship, But that doesn't mean that they're not better than the teams who are there. It's just that the teams who are there didn't have to face as stiff a competition to get there. Pac-12, I'm sorry, you guys aren't that good. I don't care what people say. You guys are not that good. So I think this year you're going to see that. Think of last year's college football playoff with Georgia and Ohio State being a 1-point game where Ohio State missed a gimme field goal. And then, TCU makes the championship and loses 65-7. Like, TCU was not better than Ohio State, but because they didn't have to play Georgia, they got to make the championship. That's the same way that GAC works. It's all about, you can make that championship and not be the best, the top 2 players in that bracket. It doesn't always happen that way, but it does, right? There are plenty of times where I've made the championship round and faced somebody who clearly didn't belong, and there are plenty of times I've made it where I did not belong. It's all dependent on your matchups. For Champions Leagues, think of it like this. The group stage right now, you have the group of death in Dortmund, PSG, Newcastle, and Milan, right? You've got that group of death. And then you have Arsenal, PSV, Lens, and Sevilla in another group. Like, how can you say that Lens, Sevilla, and PSV deserve the same amount of spots in the knockout rounds of the Champions League and Europa League as Milan, Dortmund, Newcastle, and PSG? You can't say that, right? This group is clear. The group of that death is clearly better, but because of the way the draw worked, one of them is going to miss out on European, football. That's the way it works, guys. Grand Arena is not about this. It's not this fair game mode. It's not this game mode where matchmaking's perfect. It's all about saying, hey, at the end of the day, overall, what you say is that at the end of the day, the best player will normally win the event. The best, and it's not the best player, I should say. It's the combination of the best player and the best roster will win the event. The example we'll use here, so my first round was against this guy, UA Kelabite, and I end up beating him, 11.2 million GP. So he took a loss that round. But somebody in this group of 3 up here got to face this guy, Runic, who is an amazing player. 8.6 million GP this high in Kyber 2 is unbelievably amazing. However, this guy has he's got 6 Galactic Legends, so he's definitely up against it, right? He's definitely, I'll probably end up losing to him. Watch, I'll end up facing him and lose. He's a very good player, but he doesn't have the roster to compete with these guys up here. And so somebody up here got a win against this guy, and now this guy here would be like, well, why didn't I get that person? It's just the way GAC works. So now what'll happen, right, is somebody gets this dude, and then there's going to be somebody who probably faces this guy in the bottom bracket with 0 wins. I mean, that could very well be the case. But you think even up here, so I'm up against this guy with 10.6 million. And then you've got this opponent here with 11.1 and this guy here with 10.7. So the 10.7 guy would be like, how come I didn't get to face Fat Phil with his 10.1 million? Like, that's not, why did, the other guy get him? So it's all matchup based, but at the end of the day, overall, the best player and the best roster will end up winning the GAC. Doesn't matter whether, this guy up here, whoever ends up winning overall, is the combination of those best 2 things. So I think in GAC, the championship round is not what we think it is because oftentimes it's really dependent on your matchups along the way. And then on the flip side of that, just to end this here, I understand a lot of you have a lot of frustrations with the current way the GAC system works, that you're facing opponents that you're like, what the heck? Here's what I'm going to say. What you're seeing right now is that, if you're in Carbonite and you're facing opponents, I don't know how their matchmaking is going to end up working of trying to kick people out of Carbonite. But let's say you kick all the players out of Carbonite who should be in Kyber, so they move up into Bronzium. Well, the players who got kicked out are going to push people who belong in Bronzium down to Carbonite, right? And then as these guys, as you're trying to fix, you're thinking, oh yeah, that's going to fix Carbonite, but these players got pushed back. And then they're going to start trying to climb in here, but in here are those players from Kyber who are pushing players from Chromium down. And so you can't fix the system without fixing this first. So if you push everybody through this way first, you fix Kyber, then the rest of these divisions will fix themselves. Because it's the only way, because of the way it works with the up and down, you push somebody from Carbonite into Bronzium, well, now you're going to push people who deserve to be in Bronzium down to Carbonite, while there's those who don't belong here in there. So the only way they could really fix GAC, in my opinion, the only way that they could be like, hey, is they just reset everything to say, we're going to put you into Kyber 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or Rhodium, wherever you belong, based on your GP. But again, issues with that, as we've seen, is that then people will keep their GP lower and exploit the system so that way they have the most ridiculous roster with the lowest amount of GP and win all their GACs. And that's not what they want either. So again, we're kind of stuck with what it is. I think the goal will be to fix Kyber first, and then in turn, as Kyber gets fixed, the rest of these areas will all see the fix, with I think carbonite being the last one to see the benefits of that. So that's the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts. As always, like, subscribe, comment down below. I love all you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.